Hello, this is Spartan Commander, and this is the 1043rd Rome Total War Brotherhood game that I've put onto YouTube. Just to say, we're going to fight on one of the original 21-year-old battle maps here. This is one of the most, back in the day, this is one of the most popular maps that people used to play on. And when you first look at it, you'll see that it is quite steep and hilly here. But there also, if you notice, if you look closely at the map, you'll see there is a lot of undulating ground with a lot of ups and downs, dips and ups and downs here on this map, and that's why it was so popular. There's an old destroyed building there. I know none of us could ever figure out why a house would be built there with all the water when it rained coming down into the center there, but as you can see, it's a very what I call tactical ground map kind of thing, you know, where you've got to move very tactically on this map. And as I say, back in the day, this was a very popular battle map. Okay, so our first teammate is someone who's called himself Rome Lag Festival, but is in fact Scorpion King SR. Now he's got 14 infantry, 1 town watch and 5 cavalry. Okay, and there you are, there's his town watch. Quick look at the upgrades on his cavalry. I'm thinking probably 7 upgrades in experience, stripe, gold shield, gold attack on his cavalry. Okay, so that is Scorpion King SR's army there. Our next teammate is Brotherhood member Aurelius with his faction of choice, Greek cities. Now he's got 13 Spartans and 5 light cavalry. Okay, 13 Spartans, 5 light cavalry. Quick look at the upgrades on his cavalry. Well, that particular cavalry unit's got 7, but I know normally he's got 8 upgrades on his light cavalry. Quick look at this. There you are. 8 cavalry. So I'm going to suggest that most of his cavalry have probably got 8 upgrades on. And I just wanted to show you how steep the hills are in this map. I mean, if you just look here, look how steep that is there. It's almost like the troops are going to fall off the edge of the hill there, doesn't it? It's so steep. Okay, so that's Aurelius's army there with his faction of choice. Our next teammate is Brotherhood member Mantu. Now Mantu's got 14 infantry and 6 cavalry, but it's not the bog standard 31k Roman army. And I would suggest it's an unusual Roman army here, because if you notice here, he hasn't just got 1, he hasn't just got 2, he hasn't just got 3, but he has got 4 eagle units. 4 morale boosting eagle units that he's incorporated into his army there. Now you may think, well, that's unusual, but there is a reason why he's done that. And also you'll see, look at the cavalry, it's legionary cavalry, not Praetorian cavalry. Okay, please make a note of that, legionary cavalry. So remember, these cavalry are cheaper and got less specifications than the Praetorian cavalry. So as I said to you, with 4 eagle units and legionary cavalry, I would suggest that this was an unusual army build. But the eagle units, they're the 4 eagle units there, which of course are all extra morale boosting units. You will see why later on in the battle. And our last teammate is myself, Spartan Commander. I've got 14 infantry and 5 cavalry. Just to say, it's got potential to be an absolutely cracking battle, and I hope you enjoy it. And here is the other team. We have Brotherhood member Aurelius, or Vicox, as a lot of you might know him by, and he's got 14 pikes and 6 chariots. Have a look at the upgrades on his pikes, and you'll see that he's got 8 upgrades, 2 experience stripes, gold shield, gold attack on his Pontus pikemen there. And just like you draw your attention, just look at the length of those Pontus pikes that our troops have got to try and fight down there. And then he's got his 6 chariots. And I know we've talked about chariots a lot in the past, but I like to emphasize some points about them. They got big attacking specifications and of course the massive fear factor that they bring. But as we know, if they run amok, they start killing friend and foe alike. And if you're not confident or competent with chariots, I always think to say to people, you really need to think about whether you want to bring them or not, because they really are a double-edged sword. And as I say, if you notice here, can you see that there's like a Pontus emblem on the front of the chariots? I don't know if anybody's ever noticed that before. It's pretty cool there. So that will be Arminius' Pontus army there. Looked pretty effective to me. Their next teammate is Brotherhood member Sable. Now we don't see Sable on RTW much these days, but it's good to see him. Now he has got 14 infantry and 6 cavalry. He's got the bog standard 31k Roman army, and the reason that's the bog standard 31k Roman army for so many years is because it's so effective and so efficient. So just nice to see Sable back on RTW. Their next teammate is Orcs Johng. Now Johng has got 12 infantry, 1 town watch and 5 cavalry. Okay, so there's his battle formation there, kind of stacked battle formation. And if you notice, he's got 7 upgrades on his cavalry, an experience stripe, gold shield, gold attack. But as I say, you can see his infantry is stacked there. Okay, now their last teammate is a new player to Rome Total War, okay, and he is SPQR Matt, okay, SPQR Matt. Now he's a newer player to Rome Total War. Now he's got 13 pikes and 7 cavalry. But as I say, you know, when we're all new to Rome Total War at one time or another, aren't we? And sometimes, you know, when you're learning Rome Total War, you can make some mistakes. You can see there that he set up a defensive formation on top of the hill. And if you notice, he's just got 5 upgrades on his pikes. I'm thinking possibly gold attack and silver defense there, but you know, to be honest, I don't know. But because he's a new player and everybody in the game knows he's a new player, there you are, can you see he's got 8 upgrades on his cavalry, 2 experience stripes, gold shield, gold attack. So he spent his money on his cavalry there. But everybody in the game knew he was a new player. Okay, so I was just hoping that his teammates, you know, using the team chat there, would have been talking to him and suggesting and guiding him during the course of the battle. Okay, so that's what I was hoping his teammates were going to do. Remember, when you have new players in your team, always try and guide and help them to keep them playing Rome Total War. Okay, just this part of the battle, I just want to show you both teams' objectives here. Okay, can you see Johng? He'll want to capture this hill before I can. My goal would be to try and capture that hill if I could, but Johng being so close to that hill than I am, I would think that he'll capture it before I can, which means that I will come over here and try and help my teammates to capture this particular hill here. But you can see Sable is going to reach that higher ground before my allies can there. Okay, so as I say, on this particular map, these 2 high points that we've just looked at are real objectives at the beginning of the game for both teams there. So you expect to see a lot of scrapping on those high points. Okay, so as we said right from the beginning of when we press start, you'll see both teams are heading for the high point here. Okay, you'll see Sable possibly is going to get to that high point first, but Sable will be facing 2 armies here. He'll be facing Mantu and Aurelius. Okay, and they're going to clash now, look, and bang, as the forward units of all 3 armies clash into each other there. Okay, so that is a lot for Sable to take on there, okay? Fighting 2 armies there. I think the best thing for Sable to do at this stage of the battle is maybe retreat, withdraw there, I would say, maybe towards his Pontus allies, because he doesn't want to face 2 armies, especially the Spartans there. He knows that they will, you know, punch a big hole through his army if he stays there. So I would suggest that Sable, best thing for him to do would be to withdraw. Here you'll see Orcs Johng is grabbing the other hill, which I was looking to try and take if the enemy doesn't take it first, but it looks like Johng was going to take it. So I'm going to have to move my army over to the other hill there, where Mantu and Aurelius seem to be doing quite well. Okay, you see Johng is capturing the hill this side. Okay, but as I say, here I think the best thing for Sable to do here is to withdraw. I don't know what all of you are thinking there, but I think that might be the best thing for him to do. Just pull back. There's loads of pillars being exchanged there, as you can see, and there you are. Sable's doing the right thing there. He's withdrawing his army from fighting too. Now can you see this big group of Julii infantry there that were killed by just pillar strikes there? Okay, that massive group of Sable's Julii infantry were just killed by masses of pillars hitting into them there, the armor piercing pillars. So that's a big, almost looks to me like a whole unit got taken out by pillar strikes alone. So the best thing, as I say, for Sable to do is to withdraw. You'll see Scorpion King trying to run his infantry over as fast as he can. He's got his cavalry up on the hill here. So this particular hill we've managed to capture, which is good news for us. And you'll see I'm coming across from the left flank here, trying to get up onto the hill with my allies. there. Always a little bit worried about being intercepted by downhill charges from Johng here. As I say, the cavalry could charge into my infantry there. Always a little bit worried about that. That's why I've put my cavalry up on the hill there, so that I can always counter a cavalry attack from Johng. But here, as I say, you can see both Mantu and Aurelius being extremely aggressive here to Sable. But Sable's doing the right thing. Keep withdrawing, just keep pulling back, pulling back. The last thing he wants to do is to fight two armies, and he's pulling back towards his Pontus ally here. Best thing for him to do, better not forget his cavalry. Pull his cavalry back there as well before Mantu's units hit them. But he needs to keep pulling back further and further back, because now he's at a real downhill disadvantage there from Mantu and Aurelius. So as I say, you can see my infantry's nearly got up on this hill. You'll see that Scorpion King had his cavalry there to help if my infantry was attacked by enemy cavalry. Nice bit of support there by Scorpion King SR. Okay, that was a good bit of teamwork there. Now over here you'll see that the new player Matt over here, you'll see that he's still got that defensive battle formation there. But as I say, I hope his allies are, you know, on team speak, like team chat, are guiding and suggesting things for him. Because as I say, when you've got a new player in your team, you know, you just need to encourage, guide and suggest things, don't you, you know, to keep them interested in playing the game. So I hope all his allies are trying to guide him there. Okay, but as I say, here you'll see that I'm getting my infantry up onto that hill, and as I say, both Scorpion King and my cavalry are there to kind of escort my infantry. Right, now can you see here Matt has got 4 of his well upgraded Seleucid cataphracts here, going to smash into my troops uphill. Okay, and bang, as he smashed in there, of course both Scorpion King and myself will counterattack with our cavalry here. You know, you can see, as I say, both Scorpion King and myself there. And you know, and a lot of players will be saying, what was he doing attacking uphill? But remember, he is a new player, and you know, all of us when we first started playing Rome Total War, we all did this type of thing, didn't we? Until we found out that you know, it's not the best thing to do. And my guess is here Matt will learn a lot from this battle. I know he said to me during the course of the night of playing that every battle he plays he learns a little bit more. So there you go, he just learned something there. But as I say, you know, new players, they all do these type of things the same as we did when we were new. So you'll see Scorpion King and myself will be chasing down those Seleucid cataphracts, trying to stop them from rallying. But over here you can see both Mantu and Aurelius there have forced Sable all the way back there, and have now got you know, quite a large high area of this map, maybe even looking to move around and attack Johng there, possibly. There's always that that thought probably going through their heads. But we must be always aware of these chariots here of Arminius. Okay, we must be always aware of them, because as I say, the attack specifications there and the fear factor they bring, you know, used properly, they can be devastating. So we need to be aware of them. Okay, but as I say here, I've managed to get my infantry up onto that hill, and as I say, Scorpion King and myself, cavalry there, just finishing off those Seleucid cataphracts there, trying to stop them from rallying. You'll see Johng is bringing some of his Juliite cavalry down from the hill, but I doubt very much whether we were trying to attack us there. Oh my gosh, and here's Mantu's cavalry as well. So we've got Mantu, Scorpion Kings and myself, all our cavalry here. So I doubt very much whether Johng would want to attack with his cavalry at this stage there, with all our cavalry that we've got there. And as I say, I've got my infantry up on here. There's those Seleucid cataphracts there that were taken out. Remember, they were really well upgraded as well. But they were, you can see, I've got my army on the hill there, opposite Zhong's army there. Okay, but over here you'll see that Matt is still in his defensive formation there. As I say, I just hope the team, you know, try and help him and guide him, as we talked about earlier. When you've got a new player in your team, always try and help and encourage them. And remember that new players to Rome Total War are the new lifeblood of Rome Total War. So always be kind and encouraging to new players is what I would say here. Okay, so here you'll see that Aurelius is bringing his Spartans round the rim, if you like, of that hill, and you'll see Mantu is backing up. Okay, now the reason Mantu is pulling back up on top of the hill is for, I think, a couple of reasons here. One, he can see Sable moving forward, but the main thing is he can see that massive Pontus army moving towards him and the chariots. Okay, so that is why he's pulling back. Okay, but by pulling back there, which is doing the right thing, him and Aurelius now are separated. If Aurelius runs through the rim there, that particular part of the if he runs through that area there with the broken down houses, he could get over to Mantu. But as I say, with these two armies closing in there, and Mantu and Aurelius have now been split up, that could, you know, conceivably, that could be trouble for us there. Okay. And you can see that Julii cavalry there. Aurelius is going to run into them. That cavalry is going to back off pretty quick there, as you could just see there, as Aurelius is moving back along the kind of edge of the rim of the dip there, if you like. And you can see Mantu is formed up on the higher part of the hill. But as I say, with Aurelius and Mantu being split up here, there conceivably could be a real problem here for possibly Aurelius. We just have to see what happens there. You can see Mantu moving forward a little bit there as well, and you'll see Sable moving up towards him at the same time, and you've got all those Pontus pikes have just arrived as well. Right, pause the game for a second here. So if Mantu's got a lot of pilers there, he'll have the downhill advantage there. And remember, he's got those 4 Eagle units that we looked at earlier in the battle, and the reason he's bought those 4 Eagle units, remember, they're extra morale boosting units, so they're radiating a lot of morale to his troops as well as his infantry general, and that is to try and neutralize the fear factor that the chariots bring. Okay, that's why Mantu bought the 4 Eagle units there, was to try and neutralize the fear factor, the morale lowering fear factor of the chariots. Okay, so that's why he's bought all those Eagle units there. But as I say, here you can see Aurelius moving his Spartans back along the rim there towards the Julii troop. He doesn't going to get stuck in that dip. He definitely doesn't want to get stuck in that dip where the enemy are going to be above him. So he needs to, as I say, tactical ground movement on this map is extremely important. Right, can you see Scorpion King here taking his army down there? So I hope that he's not thinking about attacking uphill, but we will see. You can see Mantu's cavalry loitering over there with intent, I would suggest. But as I say, over here is what is concerning me at the moment. Okay, you can see there that Aurelius is moving his Spartans back round, and here you can see, as I say, Mantu on the higher ground there. There'll be a lot of pilot exchanging going on there. But I think Mantu's thrown a lot of his pilers already. Right, okay, so here you'll see that Aurelius is advancing, but he's going down into that dip. Can you see that dip? His forward units are already in that dip, and now he's moving the rest of his army down into that dip of the map. Now remember, as I say, this was a really popular map years and years ago, because it is so tactical. The ground movement on this map is so important. The tactical ground movement is so important, with all the dips of ups and downs and things like that. And now Aurelius is kind of in that dip, and he is now attacking up from that dip into the Pontus pikes and the Julii infantry. Now, I just want to show you something here, just in case you're not aware. Look at the length of the Pontus pikes. Just memorize the length of those Pontus pikes there. Okay, just look how long they are, right, in comparison with the short spears of the Spartans there. Okay, so the Spartans have got to fight all the way down the length of those Pontus pikes to kill the man on the other end, and all the time they're doing that, they're losing men, they're being killed, and they're fighting up from that dip that we saw. Can you see they're fighting up the slope or up the incline there? So the Pontus pikes plus the Julii infantry there have got a massive advantage there. And as I say, this is why this map was so popular many, many years ago, because the tactical ground movement on this map is so important. And the more people played on this map, the more they kind of got better on other maps, like understanding the tactical ground movement. Here you've got the great move by Sable there, getting his cavalry in behind. If he gets up on the high ground, he would have the downhill charge into the back of those Spartans. He's moving units around the flank as well. As I say, if he could get his cavalry up there, he'd have the downhill advantage. He's moving infantry around the flank. So his Pontus ally is holding and pinning Aurelius's Greek cities, where Sable is getting his cavalry and infantry round behind Aurelius there. Nice move there. Now over here you'll see that Scorpion King is set his army up down here. Okay, so it'll be interesting to see what he's doing, but look how downhill he is in comparison with the enemy Julii troops up there. So let's just I know Scorpion King's very unpredictable, so we'll see what he's going to do there. But over here, as I say, I don't think things are looking very good for Aurelius, his Spartans there. As I say, he's in that dip as well, and you can see the enemy now closing in behind him. Right, now you'll see Mantu can see that Aurelius is in big trouble here, so he's going to charge his army forward. Okay, he may well charge directly into the Pontus pikemen there. We just have to see, but he needs to be very aware of these chariots. Okay, he needs to be aware of the chariots there, because if they get in behind him and charge into his engaged troops, that could be real trouble. So as I say, he needs to be very aware of what's going on in regard of the chariots. Okay, but here, as I say, Aurelius, make no mistake, is in big trouble here. As I say, the moment his army entered that dip, I think that was when the trouble started for Aurelius. Right, now here you can see Mantu charging his infantry. Now look at this for an attack. Look at that. He's really pressing the attack there with his infantry into those Pontus pikes. Okay, a really nice attack. Trying to help Aurelius here, look, as best he can by doing that massive attack. But now you can see cavalry and infantry have got in a typical hammer and anvil attack here. Look, the Pontus pikes being the anvil and the Julii cavalry and infantry of Sable being the hammer. A typical hammer and anvil attack on the poor Spartans of Aurelius. There you are, look, hammer and anvil attack there. The Julii troops had the downhill advantage there into the back of Aurelius' Spartans, and he was being held and pinned by the Pontus pikes, who were the anvil. Hammer and anvil attack there, and it's cost us our Spartans allies army there. But here you can see Mantu really using the downhill charge bonus that he had into those Pontus pikes there. But look at those chariots coming in behind him. He's already been hit on one flank with chariots. Look, chariots have already gone in on his flank, but the rest of the chariots are now coming in as well, and they're going to have the downhill charge bonus as well. Now look at the downhill charge bonus those chariots have got. Oh my gosh, and here comes those chariots, and bang, as they smash in there. That's the Greek city's general's just been killed. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Right, so all of Mantu's infantry have just been taken out, and all of Aurelius's infantry have been taken out, turning this, okay, into a 2v4. Okay, so only Scorpion King and myself have got our cavalry and infantry intact, but Mantu's lost all his infantry, and Aurelius has just lost all his infantry as well. And also, Scorpion King is skirting the bottom of the hill where Johng has got all his troops. So as I say, Scorpion King very unpredictable, which is good in battle. It's good to be unpredictable, but now Zhong's troops with that massive hill advantage. Remember, when you get a hill advantage, your pilots go further and do more damage. Okay, and throwing pilots uphill, obviously, because this is factored into the game, throwing pilots uphill does not do as much damage as they normally would. So Johng has got a massive downhill advantage here against Scorpion King. Now over here you'll see that Matt is starting to move his troops. Obviously his team have suggested that he moves his troops over there. And if you notice there, he's moving with his pikes down so he can only walk. He's probably not aware that if he puts his pikes up, he can run his troops over. Okay, once again, remember, new player. So he's now walking his troops over, which has got the advantage of his troops will be fresh when they get over there. Okay, so that's a good thing, but he's, as I say, he's probably unaware that if he lifts his pikes, he can run his troops. But as I say, he's a new player, so you know, we must all be patient with new players, mustn't we? And remember, they are the new lifeblood of Rome Total War. Okay, so you can see I've got my army positioned on the higher ground there. I've moved my army from its other position there over here now. And as I say, this battle now is basically a 2v4. Okay, with Mantu losing all his infantry. He's still got his cavalry left, mind, but he's lost all his infantry, and Aurelius has lost all his infantry as well. Okay, so Scorpion King and myself, I position my troops here to stop them trying to come in behind us. You'll see Sable taking his cavalry over to the other flank there, and the chariots have pulled back. I would suggest here that Aurelius pulls his light cavalry away from those chariots there, because I've got a feeling those heavy chariots could chop up his light cavalry if he's not careful, and that's exactly what he's doing, moving his cavalry away from the enemy chariots. Okay, so as you can see here, Scorpion King has positioned his army at the foot of the hill here, and you know, he's throwing his pilers uphill there against the enemy troops. But as I say, remember that hill bonuses both going down and you know, you get the big hill bonus obviously if you're going attacking downhill, but of course going uphill you also lose bonuses as well. As I said, your pilers don't do that much damage throwing them uphill. Okay, this is all factored into Rome Total War. So over here you can see that I'm holding that part of the hill to stop the enemy trying to take this part of the hill. We got a lot of cavalry here. Mantu still got all his cavalry there, so that's good. His legionary cavalry, still got them with their 8 upgrades on he's got on them, so he's got them there. And as I say, I'm holding this part of the hill. I doubt very much whether they'll want to attack me, because they'll be attacking uphill. I think they may well go round to their ally on the other hill there. That might be a thing for them to do. But if they do that, okay, I'm going to be tempted to attack, because I'm not just going to sit here and watch them move to where they want to move without trying to do something about that. But here, as I say, I think Scorpion King here, as I say, very unpredictable player, which is just what you want, isn't it, in battle? Have someone who's unpredictable, because the enemy just don't know what he's going to do next. But he has positioned himself in what some people would say would be in a rather vulnerable position, shall we say, at the foot of the hill with the enemy on the higher ground there. Okay, you can see Johng throwing units down there. I'm just thinking, if he charged his whole army down there with Sable's cavalry as well, maybe they could get a mass rout. I don't know what all of you are thinking there, but you know, with the downhill bonuses that they would get, they possibly could do that. But as I say here, you can see that I'm actually moving forward. I'm going to be throwing loads of pilers into those Pontus pikes. Now remember, the big 121-man pike units are extremely susceptible to missile damage, whether it's archer fire or armor-piercing pilers. And you can see I am throwing in loads and loads of pilers into these Pontus pikes. Okay, what I'm looking to do is to weaken them. Okay, just to give you a heads up on this, I'm looking to weaken them with a view, maybe, just maybe, to attack. Okay, attack weakened units, maybe get a few to rout, and that maybe start a chain rout, because you know Pontus morale's not very good. Right, here you can see that the Seleucid general, the new player Matt, is making his way up onto the hill there to support his allies. He's already got 3 of his cavalry up on the hill there, and you've got Zhong's cavalry up there as well. I positioned my cavalry here with a view possibly to smash into the flank of the enemy Julio troops if they do a full-scale attack on Scorpion King's army there. Just thought I'd wait for them to get engaged and then charge with the downhill charge bonus I would have. So that's why I've positioned my cavalry there. Okay, but as I say, it's poor old Scorpion King here, positioning his army at the foot of the hill, has really given Johng a massive advantage there. And of course you've got Sable's cavalry up there as well, so things not looking very good there. But as I say, here at this particular part of the battlefield, I'm trying to, as I said earlier, weaken some Pontus forward units there with a view possibly to attack. And if we can get some of those Pontus units to start routing, maybe, because we know Pontus morale's not very good, I could possibly get a chain rout going. But we'll just have to see here. As you can see, a lot of his units have been very, very weak in there. Look at all these dead Pontus pikemen there. Okay, and they've just been killed by piler strikes. okay, from my pilots there have caused those massive casualties to those Pontus pikes there. So as I say, I think keep putting the pressure on these guys a bit at this stage of the battle. You'll see that Mantu's bringing his cavalry, and there you are. Mantu has rallied 3 of his infantry units. Remember, we saw the entirety of his infantry taken out. I think he's rallied 3, or there might be another 2 units I just saw there as well. So I think he's rallied 5 of his infantry. So that's good news for us. Okay, can you see me moving my infantry forward again? I'm trying to be very aggressive here towards the enemy troops. I want to get up onto the level ground. I don't want to fight out of that dip where Aurelius got caught, right? So you notice there, I've come out the dip now, and I'm now actually engaging the Pontus pikemen. Right, time for a mini surge attack here. Old school, old-fashioned surge attack. Okay, what I'm going to try and do is to try and punch a hole through these Pontus pike units here with an old school, old-fashioned surge attack. And I'm hoping that the cavalry of Mantu might back me up. If he charges through my infantry into those pikes, we could get a good mass rout going here. There you can see Mantu's got his cavalry around there attacking the Julii infantry, but you'll see that my infantry is surging forward now. Meanwhile, over here, you'll see, as I say, I've got my cavalry locked and loaded, and you'll see Johng has poured his army back up the hill. So that must be a relief for Scorpion King there. But there's no way, I don't think Scorpion King's going to attack. Maybe that's what Zhong's hoping for there. That's why he's pulled his army back up there. But meanwhile here, as I said, you can see my infantry really pushing in. Well, look at the surge. Look at the surge of the infantry. Really pushing. What I'm trying to do is push my infantry down those pikes to kill the man on the other end. Can you see? I've surged again. Can you see, once you start surging, you've got to wait for the right time and surge again. Right, can you see I've really surged into those Pontus pikes there. To my surprise, they're still holding well, but they were well upgraded, 8 upgrades. Just think if Aurelius could smash into the back of them with his light cavalry. There they already can see Mantu charging his cavalry in there and ramming home that surge attack of mine, and we've now routed a heck of a lot of those Pontus pikes. Great teamwork there by Mantu and myself there. I think that was great. We've routed, as I say, a lot of their Pontus pikes there. We're now charging into Sable's Julii army there. Can you see Mantu's cavalry charging there like a bang? Right, and you can see that my infantry there, I've just reformed them. I'm reforming them at the moment. That's important for the surge attack. You don't want to charge in if you're not completely reformed. And I'm going to surge attack those Julii infantry as soon as my troops are reformed. And you've got the light cavalry of Aurelius, of Aurelius here, and he could smash into the back of those Julii infantry. Right, meanwhile over here you'll see I'm trying to hold this part of the hill, but there's a heck of a lot of enemy cavalry coming over towards me there. And I say Johng here, looking at his infantry, looks like he suffered quite a few casualties. You'll see Scorpion King here has moved his army further on round the flank here, okay, and he's still got his cavalry there ready to charge in there as well, trying to disrupt, I think, the enemy team there. Nice move there by Scorpion King. But here we're trying to take out Sable's army. So you can see Mantu charges cavalry in. He's pulling his cavalry back. I've just reformed my infantry, ready to surge again. Right, watch my infantry. I've reformed my infantry. I'm now going to surge. Right, can you see? I'm once again surging forward here into Sable's infantry this time. You see how my troops are just surging in, and I don't know whether Mantu's going to charge his cavalry in, but here he comes, a light cavalry of Aurelius. Nice hit here. Here they go, and bang! As they smash in there. Great hit there by Aurelius's light cavalry. You can see Mantu's cavalry is locked and loaded as well, but that was a nice hit there by Aurelius's cavalry, and we're taking out most of Sable's army here now. You can see that I've punched a hole through Sable's infantry with that surge attack. Now over here you'll see I've been overwhelmed by enemy numbers here. Both Seleucid, cataphracts and Julii cavalry have charged over. Tried to hold the hill with my cavalry there, or slow them up as much as I can, but sadly here I think I'm going to lose my cavalry there. You can see overwhelmed by sheer numbers there, and okay, they've routed my cavalry. Now I'm hoping that some of my cavalry will rally. Okay, that's what I'm hoping for there, but at this stage of the battle I have lost my cavalry. Now meanwhile over here, oh my gosh, either Scorpion King's attacked uphill or Johng has decided to attack downhill. Looks like Johng has probably decided to attack downhill here. But oh my gosh, Scorpion King is doing really well to hold as well as he did. But meanwhile over here, as you can see, it looks like we've routed all of Sable's infantry there. And this was a great joint attack by Aurelius's light cavalry, Mantu's legionary cavalry, and my surge attacking infantry there. Okay, so we've taken out a lot of Pontus pikes and we've taken out all of Sable's infantry. I think Sable was going to charge his cavalry in, but he can see that it's not worth it now. All his infantry is taken out, so he's now moved his cavalry back up at the hill. Okay, so we've done really well here. Great teamwork, Aurelius, Mantu, and myself here. Now, where do we go next? That's the next thing. Where are we going to go next? Those fresh Seleucid pike wall there, that fresh Seleucid pike wall looks quite daunting to me. I don't know what all of you are thinking there. I know Matt's a new player, I know that, but that is some kind of, you know, barrier there, that Seleucid pike wall. Yeah, not sure quite what I'm going to do at this stage of the battle here. Over here you'll see that Matt's Seleucid cataphracts there. Now see, can you see he's alt attacked? So I just saw he's pulled his cavalry back, but he had alt attack there, so he knows about alt attack in there, getting the effective against armor mace out with the alt attack. And you can see here that Mantu's attacking him with his cavalry. Right, can you see I've rallied 3 of my cavalry units and I'm going to charge them into Johng. Now watch my cavalry units as they hit. Watch the penetration impact, and I rout some of those Julii infantry. Watch my cavalry go in there like, and bang, as they smash in there. Oh my gosh, you can see Sable sending some of his cavalry in there as well with the downhill charge bonus. You can see the Seleucid cavalry general that's just charged down as well. But between us, between Scorpion King and myself, we are routing a lot of the enemy troops there. Even though they had the downhill advantage, I think Scorpion King has done absolutely amazing here, holding and attacking uphill as he has. See, one of my cavalry units has been routed there. But and here you can see Mantu's cavalry going to charge in there, could finish off the enemy Julii troops there. Great support here by Mantu. I'm thinking here, Mantu, even though he lost all his infantry, I think he's going to get some good kills, because I've been watching the way he's using his cavalry in this battle, and he has been killing a lot of enemy troops with his cavalry. And look at that, like a bang, as he smashes in there. Right, that's a Seleucid general's just been taken out, and that was taken out by a legionary cavalry unit there. So well done to a Mantu there. Great support there, helping Scorpion King out. I don't think Scorpion King has got much of an army left there, but he's done really well. Okay, so over here, if you look at the positioning of how Matt's positioned his Seleucid pike units there, okay, I think that he's trying to encourage me to attack. What do you think? Just look at the way that he's put his pikes on my flank there. That's the Julii general just been taken out, so that's good news for us. So he's got Seleucid units on my flank, plus he's got double banked units in front of me as well. I know it's a double banked unit, so well done to Matt. You know, as I say, he's learning from each battle that he plays. You got Julii infantry, cavalry and infantry in behind him there, but you can see his pikes are double banked, so there's no way, for me, there's no way forward. Yeah, I have a slight downhill bonus there, but for me there's no way forward, and I think I need to pull back. There's no way through there for me from what I can see, so I need to pull my troops back and go round and join my allies now. As I say, that to me looks like a trap, almost bait and a trap there for me to attack, and I'm certainly not going to do that. So well done to Matt there. As I say, new player to Rome Total War, nicely set up there, how we set those pikes up there and just inviting an attack. So well done to Matt. As I say, going to pull my infantry back and try and join up with my allies there is what I'm going to look to do. Okay, so if I remember correctly, Scorpion King had not many troops left there. Right, can you see that chariot unit has just been routed? And I think Johng's lost most of his troops. I'm not sure if Johng's even got any troops left at this stage of the battle. But you can see here there that Mantu's rallied infantry units. If I remember correctly, I think he's got 5 very battle damaged rallied units there. Okay, let's just pause the game for a second. So there you are. There's Mantus. If you notice there, very, very battle damaged units he's got, but he has rallied those 5 infantry units, so that's good news for us. And he's taken them across onto the hill there, so that's very good news for us. And as I say, I think Scorpion King might only just have 2 or 3 units left. 3, 4. Oh no, he might have more than that. Looks like yeah, he's got 5. I think that's the entirety of his army there. 5 units. His general's been routed, but he's got 5 units there, so you can see how close it is. As I say, there's Scorpion King's general. He's dead as well. I didn't see him there. So, and that's all the troops that he's got left. That's all the infantry that he's got, and there's Mantu's infantry. So that goes to show what small amount of troops we've got left. As I say, Mantu's been using his cavalry extremely well all over the battlefield here. Okay, so that's why I think he's going to get some good kills. But you can see here that the enemy have set up on top of the hill. You can see that Arminius or Vicox, his Pontus pikes, are up on the hill, supported by those Seleucid pikes of Mat. You've got the Julii general there. I think that's Johng's general, just attacked there and that. He needs to keep that general alive for the extra general morale bonus. Needs to take that, put that in amongst his pike allies, I would suggest. Here. So you can see us now kind of forming up here. Just to see, we're kind of, for me, I think we're kind of moving into phase 2 of the battle. Okay, what everybody's doing now is forming up, letting their troops rest here. You can see Mantu charging his cavalry, and you'll notice that my SPQR troops are moving over now towards my allies there. Where can you see moving my troops over there? I'm going to take a chance and go through the dip here. I wouldn't normally do that if the enemy had a lot of cavalry there, obviously, because they'd have the downhill advantage there with cavalry, but they haven't, so I feel safe to move over on a quicker route to get to my allies. There's a Julii infantry unit there of Sables fighting that. There's a couple of cavalry units there. I see Scorpion King charge one of his cavalry units in there. Wouldn't surprise me if Mantu charged some cavalry in there, take them out. And there he goes. He already taking that cavalry in there, take that unit out there. So nice support by Mantu, but his cavalry are very tired. I just noticed that. Okay, so what we need to do now is to try and form up, okay, and rest our troops. I think that's the best thing for us to do here for phase 2 of the battle. As I say, just look at Scorpion King and Mantu's infantry. That's all they got. What we can see here, Mantu's putting some units into Testudo there. But I mean, just look, that's all that Scorpion King and Mantu have got infantry-wise there. That's it. And luckily, as I say, Mantu's got his cavalry. My troops are just arriving now there. So you can see, basically, my infantry battle formation is intact. Okay? So that's good news for us. As I said, as we saw earlier, I lost all my cavalry, but my infantry is, you know, okay, they are a little bit battle damaged, but they are pretty well intact. As we know, the Seleucid pikes are pretty well intact. In fact, I don't think the Seleucid pikes have been engaged yet, have they? I don't think. So he's got full Seleucid pike units there. Fresh Seleucid pike units just ready to engage us. And then you've got the Pontus pikes there of Arminius or Vicox there. His general still alive, giving general morale bonus to all the troops. The Julii general still alive, giving morale bonus to their troops as well. Okay, so there you are. You can see the enemy troops forming up on the flanks of their battle formation. Look, you can see that Matt is guarding the flanks to stop any potential flanking attack there. Nice move by Matt. And on the other flank as well, put some units there as well to stop any flanking attack coming in from there. So well done to Matt. Done well there. And he's got good, solid defense at the front of their battle formation as well. So as I say, at this stage of the battle, I think we were saying we got to let our troops rest here, and we've got to we're formed up, but we've just got to let our troops rest. And of course the enemy troops will be resting as well. And here you can see Aurelius has got one infantry unit left, one Spartan unit left there. And as I say, we're just all resting our troops at the moment, waiting for phase 2 to start. Okay, so as I said earlier here, we're just going to go into phase 2 of the battle. Now, what I'd like you to notice here is, you remember we looked at the Seleucid pikes, and you remember they only have 5 upgrades on. And I was guessing, I reckon, gold attack and silver defense. Okay, that's what I'm thinking that the Seleucid pikes have got. So they've got no morale boosting stripe in them. Okay, so if we look here, can you see, if you count them again, I think they got 5 upgrades on there again. So as I say, I think gold attack and silver defense, they've got no morale boosting you know, stripe there. And what I'm thinking about doing here is an old school, old-fashioned surge attack. And what I'm hoping is that these pike units that haven't got very good upgrades on might start to rout. And if they start to rout, maybe, just maybe, we could get a chain rout going there, is what I was thinking. Of course, I don't think I've got any pilots left, because if you saw earlier, I think I threw all my pilots into the Pontus pikes. So I've got no pilots to weaken the enemy forward units there. Okay, but as I say, the Seleucid pikes, as we know, Seleucid morale in general is not very good, is it? And that's why people put stripes on them, to give them the extra morale. We got Mantu's cavalry here, and if I surge attack, I hope he's going to ram home my surge attack with his cavalry. That's what I hope is going to happen here. Okay, because that's how I usually do a surge attack. Surge into the enemy infantry, let them settle in there for a little while, and then charge my cavalry in to ram home the surge attack. But as I lost all my cavalry, I should be relying on Mantu. Right, can you see that Mantu's moving a couple of his units in testudo forward? Remember that that's the Roman kind of either defense or attack, is put units into testudo and then try and either attack or just stand there, because in testudo that's a pretty good defense against pikes or spears. Okay, and as I say there, you can see there that we're kind of, all my infantry is ready to go there, but it's just, I just got to try and get the timing right for when I'm ready to go. Now, as I say, remember the Seleucid pikes are not very well upgraded, and I'm hoping that if I can get a couple of those forward units to start routing, it could start a mass rout. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. That's why I'm going to do this surge attack. Okay, and now I've got to be honest with you, I don't normally like surge attacking into pikes. Okay, I really don't like doing that, but looking at the circumstances of this battle, I think I'm going to try that. And here you can see Aurelius coming in from the flank with his last Spartan unit there, being very aggressive with that last Spartan unit, as you can see there, going into the flank of that Seleucid pike unit there. Okay, and here you'll see Scorpion King charging one of his infantry forward there. But can you see they can't, it's very difficult for the Romans to penetrate those pikes there. Can you see how he had difficulty fighting down those pikes? He lost men as he was trying to fight down those pikes. So as I say, I'm hoping for the sheer weight of number that I've got in my battle formation there when I surge attack, to push my troops down those pikes and kill the man on the other end. Okay? So as I say, with these old school, old-fashioned surge attacks, it's not just a case of charging forward. You've got to try and get the timing right, and once you decide to surge, you don't stop surging. Okay, but for the next surge, for the second surge, you've got to get the timing right, and for the third surge and the fourth surge. Right, okay, so here we go. Right, this is the first surge attack then. Okay, so see my infantry going in there, and bang! Now watch the surge. Okay, see my infantry there, surge, keep surging forward, right? So that's the first surge. Okay, now watch out for the second surge. You see how I'm letting them integrate into the enemy troops? Now watch for the second surge. Okay, can you see the first surge there is penetrating, and now the second surge. The second surge is starting to penetrate. There comes Mantu's cavalry coming home to ram home my surge attack there, like, and bang, as he smashes in there with his cavalry. Okay, so we've got some of their units routing. Now, is that going to develop into a chain rout? Because that's what we're after. See my infantry surging forward again for either the third or the fourth time, surging forward there, making the most of those routing units, trying to keep them routing there, stopping any rallying, and driving those routing units into other units there to make them rout as well. And there you are. It looks like we got a chain rout going there, which is what we were hoping for. And it looks like our team has actually managed to go on to win the battle there. So as I say, That old school surge attack, get the timing right and you can see how effective it really is. So we go over here, this is where of course I lost all my cavalry to overwhelming odds. If we move across here, you can see there, that's where that Sable lost all those units to pilot strikes there. Do you remember the pilot strikes killed nearly, I would have thought nearly a whole unit there. As we move across here, this is where Mantu lost his SPQR infantry there, where he was smashed in the back by the chariots. And of course here in this dip is where Aurelius lost all his Spartans there. Look, you can see that dip there when they were trying to fight out of, and it's just massive loads of red cloaked Spartans there. Oh my gosh, it looks kind of sad, doesn't it, to see the elite Spartans there dead, all piled up on top of each other there. And here you can see the Pontus there. Remember where I threw my pilots into those Pontus pikes to weaken them? Then over here, this is where we took out Sable's infantry. Do you remember that? That was a really good Aurelius, Mantu and myself there, took them out. And then as we move up onto the hill here, you can see a lot of dead. But remember here, this is where Scorpion King was attacking uphill. And how well did he do there? I was amazed on how well, and I was really surprised he wasn't mass routed there with downhill attacks. But he did really well there in holding and attacking there. So well done, Scorpion King there. And over here you'll see that was quite an intense fight there as well. But if I remember correctly, I think Mantu has got 5 infantry units left, if I remember correctly. And I think Scorpion King, if I remember correctly, has got 2 units left. I think they were. So that's the 5 infantry units of Mantu's there, I think. All very battle damaged, as you can see. And of course, he lost all his infantry, but these are rallied units there. So that's good news for us there. And Scorpion King has got 1 cavalry unit left there. And I think, if I remember correctly, he's got 1 other infantry unit somewhere as well. But I think, if I remember correctly, so I think Scorpion King has got 2 units actually left. There you are. That's his other unit there. Very battle damaged infantry unit. So Scorpion King's got 1 very battle damaged infantry unit left and 1 very battle damaged cavalry unit left, and that is the entirety of his army. Mantu's just got 5 infantry left. He's still got his legionary cavalry. And as for Aurelius, I'm not sure if he's got any units left at all. Maybe a cavalry unit possibly, but this went right down to the wire. I would suggest this is a close battle. Right, first thing I'd like to say is really well played to everybody in the game. I thought everybody played really well. And as you can see, it's a very rare close victory. To get a close anything on RTW these days is very, very rare. So when we do get a close game, I feel compelled to show it because it is so rare. Highest kills in the game goes to Brotherhood member Mantu. Now, bearing in mind, he lost all his infantry, as we saw. I'm guessing that the majority of those kills is what he got with his cavalry, his legionary cavalry. So really well done to Mantu. Highest kills in the game. Bearing in mind he lost all his infantry. Well done to Arminius or Vicox there. Got some great kills. Second highest kills with Pontus there. So well done to Vicox or Arminius there. Well done to Sable. Got over 1,000 kills. Well done to Sable, very aggressive attacking play there. Well done to Johng, held that hill very well there. And as for Matt, he'll be disappointed with the kills that he got. But as I say, he's a new player and he's learning all the time. And I just say to everybody, all the veterans looking at this, be kind to new players because they are the new lifeblood of Rome Total War. My kills, yeah, quite pleased with them. And I've got the most men remaining at the end of the battle as well. So I'm quite, I'm quite pleased with the way that my army did there. As I say, well done to Mantu, highest kills in the game. Well done to Scorpion King. Now, bearing in mind he was a lot of the time attacking uphill, I reckon he got some really good kills there. So well done to Scorpion King, and well done to Aurelius. He'll be disappointed he got less than 1,000 kills, but unfortunately for him, his Spartans got caught in that dip. As I say, this map is extremely tactical and strategic. Now, what about faction advantage? We had Rome, and Greek cities. And they had Pontus, Rome, and Seleucid. So to be honest with you, I think we had the best factions there, to be honest with you. But as I say, it's a very tactical, ground-moving map and a very interesting map. Hope you enjoyed the battle. Please leave a comment. Bye for now.